Welcome to the GTP. My name is Scott, where we talk all things manga. In this video, I'm going to share with you 9 fairly new Volume 1 releases to give you an idea whether or not these are ones worth picking up and reading for your time, as well as giving a bit of a parent's perspective just on age rating. So let's go ahead and dive in. This video is sponsored by Tokyo Treats and Sakura-Co. Let's go ahead and open this beautiful box from Sakura-Co. Sakura-Co is a monthly Japanese artisan snack box that support local Japanese snack makers. Each box comes with 20 traditional, authentic, and artisan Japanese snacks, including Japanese teas and a special Japanese tableware. I absolutely love this blueberry hibiscus tea. This is probably my favorite one yet from Sakura-Co. I absolutely love this theme, A Night of Sakura. The cherry blossoms are probably one of my favorite, it's so beautiful, the tree itself. And I always love, every single time I appreciate when they give us these, almost these lovely little postcards that come with each one, as well as from the founder itself, giving you a little story on why they chose this artisan snack box. I absolutely love the glassware they gave this time with it. It's just very, my wife, as soon as she saw this, she's like, oh, that is just so pretty. So I really appreciate just the artwork design, and then to give us this lovely cup. Hopefully maybe a delicious drink can go with it. I always love the mochi that comes. It seems like every single Sakura-Co box gives you mochi, and this one is no different. So delicious. I also appreciate in this box they actually had corn puffs, and to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of corn puffs, but for some reason these soy sauce flavored ones are absolutely delicious. This is something that if I was at the grocery store, I would actually pick up and put in my shopping cart. Let's go ahead and open this Tokyo Treats Japanese snack box. Tokyo Treat is a monthly pop Japanese snack subscription box. You'll get up to 20 exclusive limited edition and seasonal flavored Japanese snacks, including Japanese instant ramen and drinks that are only available in Japan for a limited time. It's still cherry blossom season here in Japan. Did you know that the beauty of Sakura can be enjoyed not only during the day, but also at night, known as Yokosakura? Experience the enchanting beauty of Japan's Sakura under the moonlight with Tokyo Treat and Sakura's special Yokosakura box. This month's boxes feature a beautiful design Yokosakura themed box filled with a delightful assortment of Sakura-inspired treats, inviting you to immerse yourself in the Cherry Blossom Festival. Now, when it comes to Tokyo Treats, there's usually about 1 or 2 things that I wasn't as a fan of, but when I was trying out the snacks in this box, I absolutely loved everything. Everything was good, everything was delicious, and I actually am a huge strawberry fan, so I might be spoiled. I'm not sure if it's going to be in every single box, but Tokyo Treat seems to always give us some type of Japanese flavored Kit Kat, so we're not going to get anywhere else. So I was so excited when they gave us strawberry, and these are just so good. This cherry juice is delicious as well. Man, I gotta say, Sakura-Co, the Japanese artisan snack box, and then the Tokyo Treats, they have knocked it out of the park. This is the best subscription box month yet that I've had from them. And if you click my link below, if you use my code GEEKS, you can get $5 off your next purchase. This is one I would recommend if you've been a little bit curious, you've been following the channel for a while. This is by far so delicious and amazing, both boxes. It's one I'd recommend for your family as well. In the comments below, I'd love to know from you, which of these Volume 1 releases are you excited the most to check out or you have read? Would you mind sharing below as well if you have any recommendations for everyone else in our community? So first off, let's go ahead and talk about Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You by Square Enix. And one thing I gotta say I really do appreciate is some of the Square Enix volumes lately have been super thin. This one is a lot more thick. Now it is smaller compared to just a standard Viz release, as you see here. Just a bit on the trim size, but that's okay. This is an adult sort of romantic comedy series. You have this middle-aged man over here, the salaryman, who has a really rough working environment, and what makes his day is just this beautiful girl that he sees at the supermarket at the checkout line. So when he's feeling down, he knows just seeing her smile will make his day. So because of that, he has a habit of going to the same place at night over and over again. While doing so, he has this bad habit of smoking. Now, in this story here, he ends up meeting this girl who she appears to be one of the employees. I don't want to give too much details for spoilers for certain things, but she smokes as well, and she invites him to the back to smoke with her, and they end up having a bit of a relationship with each other, just talking about their days, just things about life, and you see them kind of grow closer together just as friends, while at the same time he talks about this other girl that just brightens his day. And this girl is just very observant, seeing just what he sees out of that other girl and makes her think different things herself. Don't want to give spoilers, but it was a very good first volume, and it made me want to continue reading the story. So it is a bit for older teens. There wasn't anything too scandalous, but just with the topic of smoking, and you know, I don't recommend smoking for anyone, and I do appreciate that the story is there's a situation where maybe his lungs are bad because of smoking, so they do not at least brush away that, hey, smoking does have bad effects. And if you're lonely and looking for someone, I wouldn't recommend picking up smoking and hoping just to meet someone at the behind the supermarket and like, oh, maybe they'd be friends. There's many better ways to do that. But yeah, very good first volume. I'm going to go ahead and continue on and get the second volume. Now, next up is Marriage Toxin from Viz Media. This is an assassin series who his specialty is poisons. Now, as a assassin of poison, he ends up realizing for his clan to continue, he's gonna have to go ahead and get married, or instead his sister's gonna have to get married. So he decides that he's not gonna burden his sister with that having to get married, so instead he's willing to get married and continue the line of family assassins. The only problem is he's not very good with women, and he doesn't even know where to start. So he ends up meeting this guy over here who ends up gonna help him being able to prepare and go on dates. So it's more of an action but comedy series. One thing I do appreciate is the art panels itself are very good in this manga series. Reminds me almost bit of the art panels from a Chainsaw Man or some of those vibes of like Hell's Paradise. So if you're looking for that kind of art style, you'll see that in here. And I will say it was an okay volume one. It is Viz Media, so I think sometimes these take time to breathe, and I'll give it at least 2 more volumes to get an idea whether or not I want to continue it. But there were some times I was laughing, not laugh out loud hysterical, but did have some funny antics as he tries to start going on dates and while also being an assassin at the same time. So that is Marriage Toxin. Let's go ahead and talk about another Viz Media release, and this is Ace's story. Now, I do need to give a little side note is One Piece is my favorite manga of all time, so I'll probably be a little biased talking about this, but this is a great side story. Now, Ace's story originally was a novel, and I'm so glad they created a manga adaptation for it. Now, it's going to be 2 volumes in total, and I would say, as of right now, it is completely worth it. The art style alone from the same artist that did Dr. Stone is just, it's in spades. So good, so impressive. It's so neat to see Spitfire Ace in action and see a bit of his story and how he became connected to Whitebeard and joined his pirate crew. So I will say a little bit in this story itself is we see a little bit here. We're like, oh, there's Zolo. Oh, there's Millhawk. What's up with that? Well, it was interesting is that Boshi ended up deciding to do a retelling when they meet for the very first time. So you get to see what it would look like if Boshi did the artwork for it instead of Oda. So I thought that was kind of neat. It's a little tiny side story. It's a chapter 2 at the very end of this entire manga volume. But so yeah, I appreciate it, and I've read that piece many times, but it was neat seeing it through his lens and the artwork. Plus, Ace's story was very good, and it's only 2 parts. So I would say it's worth it to check it out, as well as just for the second part alone, and then you can decide whether or not that's worthy to join your, hopefully you have a One Piece collection. Since we're talking about Viz Media, let's go ahead and do one more, and this is Steel of the Celestial Shadows. Wow. I will tell you right now, this is going to make my top 10 of manga for the year of 2024. This was a phenomenal first volume. And as soon as I finished it, I wanted to reread it again. The artwork is extremely impressive. Senior, you can definitely feel the emotions in the panels. And you're following this samurai guy who's a bit just down in the dumps as He has this mysterious power where metal can't touch him. So if someone takes their sword and tries to cut him, it immediately stops, and almost like a magnet, it just flings back at them. And the problem with that is he can't really handle metal himself. So wanting to continue the line of being a samurai but can't handle a sword is a bit of an issue. And then this mysterious girl comes along and ends up just brightening his day, changing his perspective in life, and giving him a bit of hope. So you follow him as he starts getting hope, and then all of a sudden, of course, like many other stories, is that someone tries to take that hope away. So I don't want to spoil too much, but I was thoroughly impressed for the Viz Media signature line. I think this is going to be probably one of the most talked about this year. It's one I highly recommend checking out. It's for older teens, so I don't know, 14, 15 probably be fine. There was nothing too scandalous or risque in it, just more of the action itself, some of the battle scenes, but wow, very good first volume. Made you think, and is one I really appreciate. I think it's probably going to be one of the best mangas for 2024. Speaking of best mangas for 2024, I might have already found my number one for 2024, and I've only read one volume. In fact, I want to do a whole video just on why you should read this series, and this is coming out from Kodansha. This is The Medalist. I was so moved. I started getting teary-eyed just from reading the first volume, as you're following this girl here who just has this dream of being an ice skater, and you're like, ice skating? Is that really something I want to check out? Yes, it is. I knew nothing about ice skating. I still don't want to ice skate after reading this, but just the power, what it means to chase your dreams, even when you're told you're not good enough or you're not worthy of it. So you have this lead here. He used to be an ice skating professional, but he didn't make it to the very top, but he did very well, and now he's just coaching. And so what's neat about this story is you don't have a coach who's just kind of like pouring his failures into her and hoping that she makes it where he couldn't, kind of like he's having her live in his shadows. You don't have a coach that is only caring about himself, but you see him genuinely care about her. And what's really powerful is that she's starting at a later age, where most people start ice skating at 5. I believe she's starting at 10, so she already feels very behind and not where she wants to be. But because someone is willing to believe in her, you have a coach who believes in her, he keeps pushing her forward and helping her feel good, even though she has everything stacked against her. And it just reminded me of, I haven't felt this way since reading Blue Period, just that, and if you don't know, Blue Period's in my top 10, just this idea of what it means to chase your dreams. Even when you're told you're not good enough, even when you're told you have a late start, even though you are told you don't have the talent, I think that could be soul crushing for all of us. The idea of not being able, we have a dream we don't want to let go of, and everyone in the world around us is telling us you're not going to make it. Kind of like a YouTube channel. The world will tell you if you start one, you're not going to make it, and it's not going to do very well. And in fact, over 90% of YouTube channels don't even make it to 100 subscribers. So there's something to be said about, I know each of us have a dream, a passion, a desire, and wanting to go chase it, even though there's many people around you telling you you're never going to make it. And I think that might be true, but it could also be wrong, and you're never going to know unless you try. Something long ago I've told myself is I'd rather learn through the pain of discipline over the pain of regret. And what I don't want to do in my life is go ahead and later on just wonder, I wonder what would have happened if I tried. I don't think I'm going to look back in life and be like, man, I can't believe I didn't make it as an ice skater. I'd rather live my life that way instead of, I wonder what would have happened if I tried being an ice skater. Now, personally, don't want to be an ice skater, but I have dreams. You have dreams as well. So whatever that might be for you, this manga will inspire you. It will comfort you. You'll feel the weight and the emotions. You'll feel like you're in the story itself. You can easily see yourself in it. This is so phenomenal. I mean, there's more manga coming out for the year, but as of right now, this is my number one release for 2024, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Let's talk about another Kodansha title, which I apologize if I butcher this name, but I think it's Gachiakuta? I don't have my son who has been learning Japanese. He usually helps me. I ask him to pronounce it for me. this was an interesting volume 1. This is a story. The reason why I ended up picking up this series is I heard if you like Attack on Titan, you're gonna like this series. And I do see a little bit of this element here. Is you're following this main character here, and he lives in this sky city. But in this sky city, he is very, very poor, has to deal with poverty, and just trying to make it in society is just very, very hard for him. And he doesn't have a family except for one person who took him in. And the idea of the whole story itself is that what would it look like for you to love something so much that eventually it could have a soul and be brought to life? So they give an example, kind of like, what if there was a teddy bear that you just love, 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 to the point where it could have a soul, and then that teddy bear was alive, and then you had some magical powers. And I think that's a story that resonates with a lot of people, especially growing up. If you have something you really, really cherish and you're like, what if something magical could happen? Because I've poured all this emotional energy and love into this object. So you follow this main character here who has done that with these gloves. And very shortly in the story, the Sky City ends up kicking him out, and he ends up falling onto, maybe it's a futuristic Earth, and it's just completely covered in trash. Now, because of that, because we've also poured things into what could be love and cherishing our powers that way, it also could be pouring bad energy into trash, which becomes these monsters that look a little bit like Titans that are just attacking and destroying things. And you're following this character as now he's trying to survive this new world. So there's that post-apocalyptic. I am interested to find out what he learns about this new world he's in. I'm interested what it looks like, just the mystery going back, probably trying to find that floating city or sky thing that he came from. And then is definitely a revenge story as well. You can feel the revenge in him. You can see the anger in the main character wanting to get back. So I don't want to spoil any more, just to give you a little taste of it. I'm going to continue on and probably get a couple more volumes, but I would say it was okay. Wasn't the greatest thing I read, but it did enough want me to continue on, at least read one more. All right, let's go ahead and talk about a title from the Eyes Press line, which is connected to Yen Press. Now, this manga actually came out in November, but due to a certain company not shipping my manga for almost 4 months, I didn't get this until now, but this was very, very good, and I could see this actually now being on my top 10 for 2023. I've read the first and second volume, so I thought it'd be interesting to, I thought it was important to talk about, but this is the Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, and man, the cover alone is so cool. I don't know if it's going to reflect well, but wow. This first volume just blew me away, and the second was good. This is one of the series, as soon as I finished the volume, I immediately wanted to grab the second one to find out what's going to happen next. So you follow this main character who's been reading the digital chapters of the series that comes out, and it ends up being where he finds out after a while there's like 1,000 chapters, and he's the only one who continued reading the story. He continued to read it to the very, very end, and once he read the last chapter, it's like the things that he read for the entire story are now happening on Earth into the entire world. So he has the ability where he knows a bit of the future because he read the story, and now the story is actually happening. And now he knows some of the main characters, the side characters from the story because he followed them, and now he's doing things that actually changes the story itself because he's now living it. If you like solo leveling, this gives you some of the solo leveling vibes without the ego narcissist tendencies, which maybe that'll happen, hopefully not, but he's kind of a more humble guy so far. But so good. Definitely not for kids. I definitely see this more for older teens just because of the violence. Maybe 14, 15. I could probably see some people arguing 13, it's okay. But there's some very, very graphic violence in this story. But it was very, very good. I loved it. I grabbed volume 1, read the whole thing, immediately grabbed volume 2 because that delay I already had volume 2 as well. And I cannot wait for volume 3. This is a phenomenal series. It scratches that same itch as solo leveling or like a Tomb Raider King. But so much mystery behind. You're just dying to know what's going to happen next with this character as he's trying to, things are changing around him. Everything's full in color, which I appreciate as well. Wow, they did such a good job. I cannot wait to find out what happens next. Let's go ahead and another Eyes release, and this is See You in My 19th Life. I really appreciate it. This is a very thick first volume here, so you have a ton of story, and I wasn't expecting to get touched to the point of being very emotional from this romantic adult comedy series. Is you're following this girl who, the idea is that we all die and we come back, but when we come back, we don't remember our previous lives. Except for this girl here has a unique ability that she does remember her previous lives when she comes back. So you have this story where you follow this girl who ends up kind of falling in love with this guy. They end up being really good friends as she's really young, and then something tragic happens and she ends up dying, and now she's come back again for after her 18th life to her 19th life, and she meets that guy again, and she wants to do everything she can to be able to get to know him again. Things have happened in his life after her 18th life, and now you're just following her on this journey. Very, very good dialogue. Really makes you think about just reflecting on life itself. What is the meaning of life? Where do I want to go? And you just can't help but just root for her in her 19th life and hoping that this is the life that she has always wanted to have. So very, very good first volume. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I cannot wait to go ahead and continue reading the story. And last, another Eyes press release, but this is Unholy Blood. This is probably one of the better vampire series I've read in a long time, as you're following this girl here who is this pure blood vampire who can be normal, but then when her vampire tendencies come out, her hair gets white and she's just super powerful and awesome. You're following a society where vampires have now been coming around, and it reminds me a little bit like Tokyo Ghoul, where vampires are around among humans. Are they real? Are they not? But people are missing. What's going to happen next? So, and I was shocked. There is a lot, I will warn you, there's a lot of dialogue with this story. So, which may be a turn off for some people, but I really appreciate how much dialogue there was in this volume as you're following. So not just a bunch of action sequences, but as you're following her, so much happens just in the volume 1 alone. So I really appreciate the pacing, as well as you're not on a slow burn. You're like, man, are we ever gonna get to the plot? But you have plot in spades of this roller coaster of emotions as you're following her. Many, many different things happen that I don't want to spoil. But if you're looking for a good vampire series, which you're following this girl who's a vampire, which so far is a good vampire. Wow, so good. I've thoroughly enjoyed. Now, again, definitely this one's gonna be for teens as well. I almost was okay with a 13-year-old reading it, probably 14, 15, as there's some more situations that come up that are more just for older adults, I think might go over a teen's head. But very good first volume. There is obviously some graphic and some violence and blood. I mean, it's vampires, but if you're looking again for a good vampire series, this is one I'd highly recommend checking out. So those are 9 volume 1 recent releases that I thought you might want to check out and know a little bit more yourself. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. That helps others know about this community that we have built together. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.